You're watching the Sega Driven YouTube channel, and in this video we're taking a look at two newer Mega Drive titles from Kai Magazine software that have been recently ported to the Evercade. The Evercade is a system I am very fond of, but I appreciate it's an architecture that doesn't appeal to everyone. Its main audience is collectors of boxed video games, as each release comes on a cartridge in a clamshell case with a full colour instruction manual. Games retail for no more than £24.99 at the time of writing, and cartridges often feature multiple games, so there's some decent value for money. All the games are emulated, but they are fully licensed from their publishers or license holders, meaning that you are getting official releases of games that are often rare or previously unavailable on a home video game console. The emulation aspect may be a turn-off for anyone who already uses emulation on other devices, but the real appeal is knowing that you are getting a physical game that is forever in your possession, and it comes on a real cartridge with proper packaging. It won't be for everyone, but stuff like the Metal Dragon and Life on Mars cartridge that we're looking at in this video also has the added value in that both games are newer aftermarket games for the Mega Drive that cost €60 each if you buy them direct from the publisher. You're making a big saving by buying them on Evercade, whilst also getting a lovely little box product, and you directly support the developers as well. I know that's not always the case because a lot of these games are licensed from license holders like Pico Interactive and not the actual developers, but in this instance the publisher and developer are one and the same, so they get some profit as a result. Either way, let's take a more detailed look at both of the games in this collection. Metal Dragon is a Mercs and Shock Troopers style top-down run-and-gun game from Spanish developer Kai Magazine software, originally released in 2021. You play as Metal Dragon himself in an attempt to rescue the president's daughter from an armed militia, and while it's not a particularly inspired game, it is designed well and makes for a pretty good time when you're actually playing it. You tear through multiple stages with a selection of different primary weapons that can be supported with a secondary grenade. Your standard gun has unlimited ammo, but other guns like the shotgun, machine gun and sniper rifle have limited ammo, as well as your secondary grenades. These weapons are offset by having greater damage potential. Grenades can also be stocked up by picking up crates with exclamation marks on them, and you can also get health back by collecting crates with red crosses on them. There are always a lot of low health enemies to mow through as you play, but the game keeps things interesting by constantly introducing new enemies with different attack patterns and more health to deal with. You also occasionally run into boss fights, and these are made more challenging by supplementing the actual boss with some other enemies that need to be defeated first to make the overall fight less hectic. There's a clear understanding of what makes this sort of game engaging, and I had a good time playing it thanks to the level design and variety of enemies always keeping things interesting. It's not exactly setting the world on fire in the presentation department, as the soundtrack is fairly standard Mega Drive rock music in the style of something like Thunder Force 4, but it's not nearly as memorable. The graphics are also fine for what they need to do, but don't really wow due to how often you see the same jungles and military bases from stage to stage. I think the game's biggest weakness is how confused its tone is. The story and cutscenes are a direct pastiche of the Metal Gear series, complete with codec calls and silly codenames like Flaccid Snake and Slim Boss. I don't know why the developer thought this was necessary, because I think the overall package would have benefited greatly from just taking itself a little bit more seriously, like the action movies of the 80s it is so clearly riffing on. The constant fourth wall breaking and adult language certainly got some eye rolls from me, but when you actually rescue the president's daughter and the protagonist makes an extremely sexist comment about feeling her breasts, then the game just ruins an otherwise enjoyable but run-of-the-mill top-down run-and-gun. That moment in particular left a pretty bad taste in my mouth that didn't leave for the rest of the game. Completing the game on the lowest 2 difficulty settings also gives you the bad ending, and you just don't want to persevere with the harder playthrough after seeing the main character be such a disgusting sleazebag. A real shame considering the quality of the actual action itself. Life on Mars Genesis is the standout game in this collection, and another title from Kai Magazine Software that was originally released in 2022. It is very much what if Metroid was on the Mega Drive, and that's honestly not a bad hook for a Mega Drive game, seeing how the console didn't really get Metroidvanias. As Sam, you are sent to a tech base on Mars only to discover the staff have all been killed and a bunch of robots have become extremely aggressive. It's up to you to discover what has happened in the base and report back to your superiors. As you explore the base, you discover power-ups for your weapons and shields, and also new permanent upgrades and abilities that allow you to explore more of the map that was previously gated. Like Metal Dragon, the concept isn't particularly original, but it's made well with solid stage design and character control. There's also a lot of atmosphere to the game, as it tries to create a sort of isolated creepiness that isn't too far from stuff like the Aliens movies, or even games like Doom 3, which is an impressive effort for a 2D 16-bit Mega Drive game. I like the visuals better as well, as the side-on perspective allows for things like parallax scrolling backgrounds to help the presentation pop a bit more. I feel like Life on Mars Genesis is a much more successful product when compared to Metal Dragon, as it doesn't have anything particularly offensive in it, and it's a robust little Metroidvania that will service fans of the genre well. It still has some dodgy indie game dialogue full of swears, but you don't come away from the game feeling sleazy like you do with Metal Dragon. I had a good time going through this one, and some of the later bosses really challenged your abilities in ways the earlier bosses didn't. The earlier fights feel like you can basically just soak a bunch of damage as long as you're throwing your most powerful weaponry at it, and you'll basically win out at the end. So it's nice that developers learn to actually challenge the player as the game progresses. This is a great little game that I would happily recommend to Metroidvania fans. Metal Dragon and Life on Mars Genesis are currently available on Evercade as a dual cart that retails for £19.99. I bought my copy from funstock.co.uk, but other retailers are available.